Last time on Ace Attorney.
I mean, yeah, if this is true, then Damon Gant has fucked Edgeworth's career? That unforgivable! Oh my, no! You can kill whoever you want. You can come after me. You can traumatize Emma for all I care. But if you come after my boy Edgeworth, I will have your head on a fucking halberd! Hello guys, and welcome back to Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. In the last episode, we finished the investigation. The final investigation in the game, and now we're heading into the final trial. Oh, you do not understand how excited I am for this. It's the first series I'm gonna finish on this channel. This is a big milestone, guys. Shit. Man, I've also already picked out which game is gonna be coming on next, because I want to finish Murdered Soul Suspect before moving on to the second Ace Attorney games. So in the meantime, I gotta add a second game to the schedule. I already know what it is, but I will reveal it at the end of the last Ace Attorney video. Okay? So yeah. I think it's gonna be good. Don't worry, I'm not gonna do a fourth murder mystery in a row. That would be fucking ridiculous. Okay, like I love the murder mystery genre, but that's a bit much even for me. Okay, so I'm taking a step back from that. It's gonna be fun. Don't worry. But yes, in the last episode we got into Gant's office and actually found the last piece of the vase. Now, in editing, I decided to take a second look at it, since I wasn't being, since I didn't have to worry about time or anything, right? And I decided to try to connect the dots and see what they spelled, and, I'll put it up on the screen now. Yeah, it says Emma. Written in blood, Emma, clearly a dying message of some kind. This is bad. Now, I think that this might be the blackmail that, Gant is using. Like, I don't think Emma actually fucking killed Marshall, but I think that, Gant wrote Emma's name on the vase himself, and, while she was unconscious, he wrote down her name in the vase with Marshall's blood, and then, put her fingerprints in that, in the cloth that was likely then used to wipe the vase. So then, if Lana ever steps out of line, he can just say, oh, look, it appears that the true murderer of Neil Marshall was actually Emma Skye. I mean, there's some fucking bloody message written by the victim, and oh, look who tried to erase it, Emma Skye! So I think that's how, Gant is I think that's what Gant's using to keep Lana under his thumb. I think. But yes, let's take this motherfucker down and get Gumshoe his job back. And hopefully save Edgeworth's ass. I mean, honestly, at this point, Edgeworth is just voluntarily resigning. At this point, all we can do is avenge Edgeworth. I'm not letting this man down easy, okay? You do not mess with my best boy, okay? You get death if you do. February 25th, 9:47 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby, number 2. This is the defendant lobby, alright? But there's no defendant. I've been trying to reach Lana all morning. Where could she be? And where's Emma, for that matter? It almost seems as if something's been happening behind the scenes. Oh, is it gonna happen? Is Chief Gant gonna try to turn the tables and try to get Emma convicted? He might be doing it since, he might feel like we're getting too close to ferrying him out, so he might try to pull out the Emma as his last defense. Alright, let's see. Who is speaking? Ah! Edgeworth! Fancy seeing you here. By any chance, would you like to grab, dinner after today's trial, to celebrate justice? wherever that may lie. You know, I mean, it's your last trial, Edgeworth, and it's my trial for a while. My last one for a while. So, what do you say? We'll go to that burger joint. Well, after that, we can, go back to my law offices, do a little bit of, Steel Samurai and chill. Look, I don't know what to tell you. Wrightworth is undeniably one of my favorite ships ever, okay? It's just so well set. It's just so set up so well for Wrightworth. Knowing you, you've already figured it out. Who the owner of the 77777 ID number is, that is. In fact, I have! It's Damon Gant. Well, I have a pretty strong hunch. Looks like I'm not the only one who's figured it out. Yeah, Edgeworth smells the rotten waters like a mile out. You know, the only reason this trial didn't reach a verdict yesterday is because there was still room for doubt regarding this ID record. If that number does belong to you, whom you suspect, then no doubt will remain. After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything. True. Yet. In any event, once all doubt has been removed from the list, I can call a ruling. 5 minutes, right? And Chief Prosecutor Sky will be found guilty. But she didn't do it! I figured you'd say as much. That's why I came here, to hear what you have to say. See, this is his way of warning us! Don't present it unless you... Don't present the ID number unless you're ready to go straight for the kill. Because if you do, and you're not ready to flip the whole trial on Gant, the second you present that ID number, you're gonna get fucked. Oh, Ashworth, thanks for the advice. Hopefully we'll work together to catch this motherfucker and avenge your career, right? It would be a pleasure, right? Now, I will continue to act like a dick as to not arouse any suspicion, alright? Glad you got my secret message. This is the first time he's ever done something like this. Yeah, because he's trying to help us out. Lana's hiding something, and the only way we'll ever know the truth is to draw it out of her. The truth. Everything goes back to the SL9 incident. Don't be stupid, today's the last day of the trial. We don't have time to reminisce about the past. That depends on you. Huh? If she's found guilty, you'll lose your only chance to find out what really happened. I'll think about it. See you in court, right? This is it! If I'm ever going to find out what Chief Gant has on her, it's now. February 25th, 10 a.m., District Court, Courtroom number 9. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Sky. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. Normally, this is when the prosecution puts forth its opening statement. Huh. But before that, the police chief has a proposal to make. Chief Gant, motherfucker. Morning, folks. How's everyone doing? Hey, Audrey, been back to the pool yet? No, I've been drowning enough as it is in my work. Ho-ho, that's a good one. I don't think I can top that. If you don't mind me asking, Chief, exactly what is this proposal of yours? Yeah, Edgeworth is not happy with this man. Lana, that is to say, the defendant, has asked me if she could speak directly to the court. Oh, no. She wants to... Oh, no! Yeah. Gant has Emma, and he's using his fucking leverage to get Lana to plead guilty! No! Oh, no! It's just like when Edgeworth tried to plead guilty to the DL6 case. No! Fuck! We can't let this. Someone fucking object! Having heard what she intends to say, I feel she should be granted her request. In the end, it should save everyone a lot of time and trouble. Yeah, because you fucking wrote whatever declaration she's about to make, probably, you piece of fucking shit. What's this all about, the defendant? I'd like to make one simple request and I'll be finished. Well then, what's your request? Your Honor, I'd like to put an immediate end to this trial. Huh? Come on, Wright, you knew this was coming. I confess to all charges against me. On February 21st of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman in the underground parking lot at the prosecutor's office. No, Lana! We talked about this! Come on! Objection! There he is. You can't. Your Honor, the defendant's claim does not change the defense's plea. In that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your services. But Lana... Your Honor, I hereby forfeit my right to an attorney. The prosecution may lack direct evidence against me, but it has sufficiently proven its case through testimony and circumstantial evidence. Wrightworth, come on! Back me up here, man! Wrightworth, come on! Please, edgy boy. All I ask for is a chance. Come on, I believe that you're gonna do the right thing. I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please. Well, the defendant certainly has the right of self-representation. Her request is legally valid, although this is an unprecedented situation. Indeed, it appears there's no further need to continue this trial, even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise. This can't be happening. It's gonna be my perfect record. It appears the time has come for the verdict has arrived. The court finds the defendant... Objection! There he is! Yes, boy! Best boy! Best boy! Best boy! Ha! Hoo! 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 Ha! Hoo! Ha! Hoo! Ha! That's it! That's it, boys! We're renaming we're renaming the channel from Team Buster to Team Edgeworth. It's official. We're fucking doing it. The boy is too good for this world. He is a best boy. Oh, Edgeworth. How are you so amazing? One moment, Your Honor. Mr. Edgeworth! The prosecution has not yet proven the defendant guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Any ruling at this stage would certainly be premature. Come now, Worthy! I understand this is a difficult time for you, but why don't you just be a little good boy and keep your mouth shut? I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Gant. The sass! The fucking sass! Edgeworth with bringing that fucking housewife energy, Jesus Christ! Ooh! Oh, he bringing the smoke! He bringing the fucking smoke! How's Chief Gant gonna react? What? Creating another fabrication to cover up your past mistakes. Sorry, but I'm no longer the naive little boy you would have me be. With this sudden confession from the defendant, it's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes. Some kind of deal, huh? Not everyone operates as you do, Worthy. Huh. I thought so. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to change its first witness. Oh, to whom? As its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Miss Emma Skye. Oh! He's on fire! This man is on fire! Oh, I'm gonna miss this game so much! And from what I've heard, Edgeworth isn't the prosecutor in the other game. No! This is my last case with Edgeworth. I need to savor every moment.
request the court hears her testimony.
Mr. Edgeworth, I am exercising my right to self-representation. I don't think we need to continue.
I don't care what you think, Miss Sky. You may not have a defense attorney anymore, but I'm still the prosecutor. The exposure of truth sometimes results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it. Right. Very well, the court shall grant the prosecution's request. That's okay with you, right, Chief Gant?
Worthy, you'll live to regret this. Mark my words. You won't have much influence behind a prison cell, trust me. Bigger men than you have tried to manipulate Edgeworth. Wright had like the entire... Wright had the fucking judge in his pocket, dude. What? Really, dude? And you think you're gonna control Edgeworth? Oh, you got another thing coming, my man.
Miss Emma Sky, please take the stand. Looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by the reins. Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation.
My name is Emma Sky. My occupation, I'm Lana's little sister, and I want to be a scientific investigator.
2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Dark of the Joe Dark killings. Is this correct?
Yes. I'm trying my hardest to forget about that, though.
I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to recall these events one more time. Mr. Edgeworth, please remember this trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman. Is the incident that was resolved 2 years ago really all that relevant? Yes, it most certainly is. Well, okay then.
He sure gave in fast. Hey, when Edgeworth calls, you answer.
Now, please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago. The trip to yesteryear has finally begun. It's bound to lead to the truth behind this trial.
Ooh, I'm getting chills. 2 years ago, I was waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me, but I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest.
It's a good thing you weren't harmed!
I passed out. I don't remember much.
That's understandable. However, please tell me, Mr. Edgeworth, what does this testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder? That will soon become apparent, Your Honor.
You've got to admire him for his courage, considering he has no evidence.
Very well, the defense may begin its cross-examination.
The thing is, Edgeworth trusts us, okay? That he knows that we know, or at least we have a pretty good idea how it connects, and he trusts us enough to give us a shot.
Okay.
Emma doesn't have any reason to lie, but Lana sure does. I need to get Emma to tell me as much about this as she can. Right, that means pressing. 2 years ago, the defendant was a detective at the police department, correct? Yes, she was second in command under the Deputy Chief of Police Gant. My sister was the best detective ever.
Yes, I remember. Deputy Chief Gant and Miss Sky used to be quite a pair. I believe they shared the same office.
That's right. I'd always sit at my sister's desk and dream about playing that organ. I wanted to play it that day too.
The police department and the prosecutor's office held a ceremony that day.
Lana promised to take me to dinner after she finished her work. Man? Yes, Joe Dark. He was a serial killer.
Joe Dark was brought in for questioning on the day of the ceremony. We were desperate to get anything on him that would lead to an arrest. When he saw his chance, he fled the room, right? Upon fleeing the room, Dark proceeded to take the elevator. He must have been in a panic because the elevator was going up. Then he ran into Sky in Gant's office.
There was a lot of noise from outside, so I opened the door to have a look, and that's when I saw him.
What was the prosecutor doing there? That day, there were two people present during Dark's questioning. Deputy Chief Damon Gant and Prosecutor Neil Marshall. I almost forgot about Gant. Yeah. Neil Marshall must have just received the King of Prosecutors award. Received, sorry. A young and dedicated, he went straight into the questioning room after the ceremony. I assume that would also be why he was the first to run after Dark.
When Dark grabbed me, I thought I was good as dead.
And that's when Prosecutor Marshall came running in?
I don't clearly remember what happened then, but...
Can you tell us about that?
Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark, just then the lights went out.
The lights?!
It was just about this time of the year. There was a terrible storm coming on and lightning struck nearby.
So the electricity went out. Wait a minute! If it was pitch dark in that room, you shouldn't have been able to see anything, right?
Right, but just then lightning flashed again outside. That sudden flash left an unforgettable image of the scene in my mind.
I see.
I told the detective about it when I saw them.
The detective?
Yes, Detective Goodman. He was in charge of the case.
Detective Bruce Goodman, the victim. So, you spoke with Detective Goodman about this, 2 years ago?
Yes, that's what's so scary about this trial.
And you told Detective Goodman what you saw?
Yes, but at the time, the words just wouldn't come out. That's why I drew a picture.
A picture?
Yeah, I think she mentioned that before.
Well, Mr. Wright, have you heard enough? Ask about the picture. This picture the witness drew, since, we have the picture in question. I believe it has a very important meaning. But the list of evidence I was given 2 years ago didn't contain a picture. Witness, would you mind if we added this statement to your testimony?
Yes, Your Honor. I drew a picture of the scene once, but it seems to have been lost.
Nope. You drew a picture of the scene you witnessed, right?
Yes, I wanted to do everything I could to help the investigation. I can still see it now whenever I close my eyes.
That's strange. I took over the case after Prosecutor Marshall died, yet I never received any picture. Perhaps the witness is mistaken?
But I did draw it, I swear. I'm not just imagining it.
This picture that Emma drew, that reminds me. I guess I should check the evidence again. Well, anyways, let's continue. The scene that imprinted an image in your mind, can you please describe it to us?
The man.
That must have been a real shock.
Even now, when I close my eyes, I can still see it just as clearly.
Tell us, what were you doing at that moment? I believe you testified that Joan Dark was holding you hostage.
When lightning struck and lights went out, Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark. I was thrown aside and the two began wrestling each other. I'm pretty sure I was watching them.
There we go. Present. Mr. Edgeworth, this little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet you would insist on denying its existence? Huh? Hey, I'm not the bad guy. All I'm saying is that as the prosecutor for that case, I wasn't handed such a picture. That may well be, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Behold! This is the evidence list for the SL9 incident. Please turn it over, Your Honor. Turn it over! Turn it... Aha! What's this? Yes, what is that?
Hey, that's it! That's the picture I drew!
Indeed! Two men appear to be wrestling here. What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list? Me? Only the prosecutor in charge should have access to that list. Huh? These lists! They're different from each other. What? It would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. The two lists fit together to form one. You can see the marks here where they were torn from each other.
So you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half of the evidence in that case ever reached you.
What? What? Order! But, Miss Sky, why did you draw your picture on the back of such an important list?
Because that's what Detective Goodman handed me in the questioning room, Your Honor.
Wait a minute. If this list was torn in half, then that means... Your Honor? Are you alright, Mr. Wright? Your eyes are bulging from your head! If the evidence list was torn in half, then there might be more of the drawing on the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list. Oh! Huh? Yes, that's quite conceivable, Mr. Edgeworth. It's possible. Let's see. Interesting choice of words. Is something wrong? Do you even have to ask? Sorry, Your Honor. There is indeed something drawn on the back of my list. It's that...
You serious?
Oh my god, what the fuck is happening? I love when cases get bizarre. Like, oh my god. I can only imagine Edgeworth, like, was expecting, like, turn it over, like, expecting to find, like, an image of the killer, or, like, the secret, and then he finds the fucking blue badger, and he's like, no, not this creature from my nightmares! Gumshoe, I will have your pay cut in half! Oh, but Mr. Edgeworth, I already got fired yesterday! God damn it, my only source of relief has been cut loose. Oh my god. It's also interesting how it's drawn. It looks kind of like a, also the fucking music. But yeah, it looks kind of like a fucking, like a playing card, like the Joker, right? That's that thing! That thing that was dancing in the evidence room. Yeah, see the, corners? It makes it kind of look like, you know, a playing card of some kind. Clearly, this act of vandalism is the work of a certain chief of detectives. I guess he was out of scrap paper? Evidence list restored and updated in the court record. Let's check that out real quick. That's the window. Okay. So those two corners are the framing of the window. And the question is, why is the blue fucking badger there? That's the real question. I doubt it's the actual badger, since, you know, that was created by the chief of detectives. It's probably just something that looks like it, you know? I don't know. It might be, you know, like some sort of escape route that, you know, Joe Dark was supposed to use. I don't know. Something. It's something. Framed against the window. Very well, witness. Will you please testify about this picture you drew 2 years ago? Huh? Oh, yes, sir, Your Honor. What's wrong with Emma? She seems to be thinking about something when she was looking at that picture. Right. Emma's picture. This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright, all I could see were shadows. After that, I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant. Right. The question is, since it's all silhouetted, we don't know what the fuck that thing could be. To think a flash of lightning could burn such an image in your mind! Thanks to that, though, she was able to show us exactly what she saw. Well, I don't see any contradictions here. This clearly shows Joe Dark about to murder Prosecutor Neil Marshall. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. I wonder. I really wonder. You can't actually tell who's who in that picture. It's the picture I drew 2 years ago. Did you draw this picture right after the incident? I think I drew it 2 or 3 days later. At first, I was in such a state of shock that I couldn't do anything. During that time, the investigation team was reorganized. Detective Goodman was placed in charge, under the direction of Damon Gaunt and Lana Skye. 2 or 3 days later, the memory should still have been fresh in her mind. Excuse me, witness. But can you please tell us why this picture's painted all black? They didn't have any colored pencils, sadly. So, at the time, you didn't even know it was Mr. Marshall who had come to your rescue? No, I couldn't see him clearly. The lightning was so bright, and I was knocked to the floor. You were knocked to the floor? Dark had a tight grip on me, but when Mr. Marshall jumped on him, I was knocked away. I turned around, and that's when the lightning flashed. Poor Emma. I'm just glad she didn't get hurt. What happened after the lightning flashed? You mean you didn't see the actual murder take place? No, I'm sorry. The flash of lightning only drove off the darkness for a split second. Not only that, but the trauma of the situation understandably caused the witness to faint. Do you really need to torture the girl any further? What? Hey, I'm not the bad guy here. Anyway, this picture. This picture shows... Sorry for asking so many times, but are you sure you drew exactly what you saw? Of course, this is the exact scene. It wasn't influenced in any way from your talks with the detectives? Are you insinuating we somehow manipulated her memory, Mr. Wright? No, of course not. I better watch out or he might find some way to cut my salary. I drew this picture before I heard anything from the detectives. So I don't think anyone's story would have influenced me. Mr. Wright, is there something that's bothering you about this picture? Oh, well. That's strange. She claims this is exactly the scene she was imprinted in her mind, and yet there's clearly a contradiction here. Oh, fuck! No, I didn't mean to object! Fuck! I wanted to look at it! Shit! No! Oh, it's one of these! It's one of these where I have absolutely zero clue what the fuck I'm doing! Here's the picture I drew 2 years ago. Yeah, that makes sense. Flash of lightning was there so bright, all I could see were shadows. I don't know! I genuinely have no idea what I'm doing here. The knife, maybe? There we go. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness drew contains a blatant contradiction. What? But I still remember it like it was yesterday. Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction for us. What part of this picture contradicts the autopsy report? The knife? Take that! The contradiction, of course, lies here. Take a look at the knife the man is holding. If you look closely, you can see its tip is broken. Even I don't have to look closely to see that, Mr. Wright.
But, Mr. Wright, look at the evidence. See the murder weapon? Its tip is broken too.
If I recall, the tip of the knife was found broken off inside the victim's body.
It was a conclusive piece of evidence that would prove Joe Dark was the murderer.
I'm afraid that's not so simple, Emma. And where, pray tell, could you possibly see a problem?
It's obviously really the victim suffered a single stab wound to the back.
If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murder weapon should not have yet been broken. Ah! What's the meaning of this? Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand.
Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body.
If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there. That's right! But what does this mean? The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation is the witness's memory is mistaken. That's why I asked her so many times if she was sure she remembered correctly. I believe you were annoyed at the time, but she was sure she remembered correctly. But there's no other way to explain this inconsistency. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There is another explanation. Have you forgotten already? But a little something called falsified evidence? You're treading on thin ice, right? All I'm saying is that this broken knife tip might be the piece of evidence that was forged. You can't deny the possibility. No. Ah! Order! Are you saying the investigation really was corrupted? Your Honor, please allow me once again to go over the events that took place on the day of the murder. The police department and the prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony that day. After receiving the King of Prosecutors Award at the ceremony, Neil Marshall questioned Joe Dark along with Damon Gant. Right? During this questioning, Joe Dark fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Dark. It is my belief that somehow this... somewhere in this story there is a lie. I'm not lying. The man really was holding up a broken knife. If that's true, then there's no other way around it. This could not have been the actual murder weapon. There must have been another broken knife. What are the chances of there being two broken knives? The award. He was stabbed with the King of Prosecutors Award. And that's why Damon Gant took the sword out of the award so that no one could then be like, this looks eerily similar. Another broken knife besides Joe Dark's? Could there have been one? Yeah, there is another one. If the witness is adamant about the accuracy of what she saw, it can't just be explained away by a simple observational error.
Mr. Wright!
In that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife. I assume, then, that you have some information about this other broken knife? If so, please feel free to enlighten us. The murder weapon is already broken prior to the murder. There's only one way. Take a look at this. Here is the real murder weapon. The answer lies in the past. 2 years in the past. Right here inside this picture. This is a picture of the awards ceremony. What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? It's the broken murder weapon. Notice the award Prosecutor Marshall is holding. That's a broken knife. As we earlier concluded, the knife in the drawing was not Joe Dark's knife. That being the case, the knife the witness saw was in all likelihood from this award. Order!
Neil Marshall was awarded the King of Prosecutors Award that day. As an award, he was given a broken shield and a knife. When he chased after Joe Dark, he pulled out this knife. Being a prosecutor, he did not carry a pistol. This broken knife was the only weapon he had in this dangerous situation. But that can't be. Oh, and why not, Miss Wrightworth? Because if the King of Prosecutors Award knife was the murder weapon, then the murderer and the victim would be reversed. What do you mean? I mean, this man who erased the knife would have been Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Oh! Oh! But the prosecutor was the one who actually died! That's true. What's going on here? It seems Mr. Wright has been a bit too eager to jump to conclusions. Wait! I remember now! I remember everything! Witness! Mr. Edgeworth. What is it? Could you show me your evidence list again? Please! His list? The one with that picture scribbled on the back? I knew it! This picture. I'm the one who drew it. What? You drew that? Wow! All this time, it was Emma that we have to thank for the Blue Badger. That's right. The list wasn't torn in half at the time I drew this picture. All this time, I've been trying so hard to forget. I must have locked this part away deep inside me. She was truly traumatized by the horror of the Blue Badger. Perhaps it would be best if we add this to the witness's testimony. Would you please tell us what you recalled, Miss Skye? Yes, Your Honor. First the knife mix-up and now the Blue Badger? It should be interesting. It sure will. Emma's recollection. When I saw the man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed towards both of them. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Just then, there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the Blue Badger. Oh my god, I can't do this! This is too good! He wasn't in the room. I'm sure I saw a shadow. This is certainly most unusual! Try impossible. The chief of detectives hadn't even designed this until this year. That would mean he didn't even exist 2 years ago. So it's something we're mistaking for the Badger. Yes, well, the defense may now begin its crossing. Stop! Please, don't pursue this any further! Oh, she's shook! Lana! What's the meaning of this? Please remain seated in the defense's chair. But you can't do this! I've already confessed to the crime! Why can't you just leave it at that? Chief Prosecutor Skye. We've already come this far. It's too late to turn back. Silence! The defense will now begin its cross-examination. Bailiff, please detain the defendant. It seems we're finally getting to the core of the matter. When you say that man, I assume you refer to Joe Dark? Yes, at least I think it was him. You think? All I could really see were shadows. The power outage was immediately present at the incident. It also documented in the prosecutor's office report. So then you... I panicked and rushed towards both of them. Why would you do something so dangerous? What else could I have done? He was about to stab Mr. Marshall. So she seems convinced Dark was the one holding the knife. But as we've now just theorized, Mr. Marshall was the one holding up the knife. Well, I didn't know that at the time. When the Dark guy knocked me down, all I could think is, I've got to help the other person. What do you mean, you think? It all happened so fast, and I was in shock. I don't remember everything clearly. What I did, it's all kind of a blur.
Miss Sky was almost killed before she was witness to the murder about to take place. Witnessed so much happening. With so much happening in a matter of seconds, a little disorientation is most natural.
I saw the man about to stab the other person who I thought was Mr. Marshall. I knew I had to stop the man with the knife.
What you did was very brave, young girl. So then what happened next?
Are you sure about this? Of course. See? I even drew a picture of him here.
But it was the chief of detectives who thought up his hideous beast. And that was just this year. The Blue Badger didn't exist 2 years ago. This is all quite verifiable.
I know it sounds strange. I was surprised too when I saw him at the police department. I had this nagging feeling that I've seen him before somewhere. Now I finally remembered.
Oh, brother. Just when you thought the thing had caused enough commotion. Tell us! Where in the room did you see him dancing? His shadow? So you mean you didn't actually see his face with the winning smile and all?
That's right, but I still remember it. He had 3 creepy horns.
What could that be? This is pointless. Do we have anything that could look like that? Not good, man. Maybe someone. It was fucking Gumshoe. This is pointless. That thing couldn't have possibly existed 2 years ago, so stop checking the evidence record, right? The witness must be mistaken. That may well be. But what's important is what caused her to think she saw what she did. Oh, and I suppose you have an explanation. If so, then by all means, tell us what the shadow really is. What was it Emma saw when the lightning flashed? Who is this Blue Badger? No clue! I absolutely and positively have no idea whatsoever. Well, it's always good to be sure of oneself. Apparently it helps when you're trying to overlook one's failures.
But I know what I saw. I'm not making this up. Mr. Wright, please. You've got to believe me.
Emma, the Blue Badger didn't even exist 2 years ago. So what exactly did Emma see? I've gathered all the evidence. All that's left now is to put the pieces of the puzzle together. So I have to give my guess. The Blue Badger hadn't even been dreamt up when Emma drew this picture. Yet she's certain she saw its shadow? Ladies and gentlemen, it is the defense's belief that on that fateful day 2 years ago, there indeed was something that looked similar to the Blue Badger. Something that is now sitting in this very room.
Mr. Wright!
In this room? Very well, Mr. Wright. What is what the witness saw in this instant? What does the Blue Badger look alike? It was the jar! Look! 3 horns! Rotated to the right angle, right? Let's see. There is your fucking badger!
Oh my god!
That's brilliant. That's so fucking brilliant. So the jar was knocked up in the air, and she saw this. Oh my god! That's honestly brilliant. Take that! The mysterious Blue Badger was in fact this. But that's... what exactly is that? I believe it's some sort of jar.
But Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the Blue Badger.
Indeed it doesn't. As it stands now, it's just a plain jar. However, what if we were to change our perspective? Our perspective? I've got to show them the correct angle to look at this from. Here we go. This isn't right. I've got to make it look more like the badger. Allow me to remind the defense this case hinges on the witness's drawing. If Mr. Wright can't match the shape the witness drew, we cannot accept his claim. Gotta find just the right angle.
Come on, Mr. Wright, you can do it.
I've gotta show them the correct angle to look at this from. Shit, okay, oh, or is it like this way around, maybe? Oh, come on! That looks exactly like it!
Take that! Objection!
We might be here a while. Unless it's that one? Well, thankfully for you, I'm cutting this all out.
Take that! Objection!
Shit, motherfuck! I have it! Come on, man. I know I have this right. Just... fuck. Maybe I need it to be more shallow?
Take that!
There it is! Jesus fuck! Well, is this a miracle or what? No one can possibly deny this jar's resemblance to the blue badger. No! It can't be! But it is! Order! Order! The defense has proven its claim. The mysterious blue badger witnessed on the day of the crime was actually this! Although we all enjoyed Mr. Wright's dramatic performance, one question remains. What's your point? What do you mean? So that badger thing was actually just a jar. That doesn't change anything. I'm afraid that's where you're wrong, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, that changes everything. Indeed. Very well then. Please tell us. What's different now that we know the witness saw the jar? The location. Allow me to take these in turn. At the moment of the murder, the witness saw this jar. At a very specific angle, I might add, Mr. Wright. Yes, well, knowing this, where could she have seen this jar? Where? The location of the jar is shown in the picture taken on the day of the crime. It's on the shelf in the office of Damon Gant. Right. That jar is next to the window on Gant's side of the office. Whereas the blood splatter in the supposed crime scene is on Lana's side.
Objection!
But the body was found lying near Lana Sky's desk. The witness testified so herself. Yes, and it is these two facts that revealed what actually transpired. You see, the struggle between Dark and Marshall did not take place in Lana Sky's office. It happened on the other side of the room in Chief Gant's office. Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body from Damon Gant's office to Lana Sky's office? No. Yes. Okay, right? You forgot about the luminol reaction? Why would he do that? There's no reason. Exactly. If there wasn't a reason, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble. The only logical conclusion is that there was a reason. Do you know what this reason was, Mr. Wright? I finally figured it out. So this is why Lana tried to stop the trial. It's too late to quit now, though. Please recall the witness's testimony. She said she knocked away the man who was holding up the knife. In the next instant, the jar was hit and flew through the air. Now tell me, what could have sent the jar flying? Whoa, that must have been the impact the man made when he knocked into the wall! Ladies and gentlemen, if I may draw your attention to this picture once more. If the man was knocked in the direction of the shelf and the jar was sitting on, what would he have hit? Ah! The suit of armor holding a very sharp and dangerous looking sword! Yes. And since the man who was knocked into the armor was carrying a broken knife, he would have had to have been Neil Marshall, wielding the King of Prosecutors trophy. No, Mr. Wright, you can't be thinking. Yes. Just like Turnabout Samurai, he got killed on an environmental hazard. There is another possibility of what actually transpired in that room, and that would make Emma the true murderer. Another possibility? Of course, the perpetrator would have had no idea, but nevertheless. I don't know if I can go through with this. Mr. Wright, what's the matter? If events took place as the defense theorizes, then the outcome is obvious. In that moment, assuming the man Emma Skye knocked away was actually Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Yeah. You mean... See, okay, I know that this is how we're setting up the rest of the trial, and we're probably gonna cut, and the video's gonna end, but... I see where this is going, and I already see where this is flawed logic. Because of the dying message. See, we know that the word Emma was written in blood on the jar. Now, since this was written across multiple pieces, for this to have happened, it must have been when the jar was still in one piece. Correct? Well, if Marshall was knocked into the jar, sending it flying, and then got killed, and then Marshall got killed, and then immediately after, the vase broke, right? Meaning that the name Emma would have had to have been written on the vase before Marshall was even knocked in its direction, which doesn't make any sense. Which means that Emma couldn't... Marshall dying and the statue getting flung up in the air couldn't have been two separate... If we are going by the assumption that Emma is the killer, right? Then if Marshall was trying to write the name of his killer, he would have had to do so before the vase was thrown into the air. So the timeline here just doesn't make sense with our current assumption. So I think that's how we're gonna get her out. You mean Mr. Marshall died because of me? No! Thud. Shit. I never imagined her testimony would lead to this. So it was the witness who took the victim's life, and then proved so with her own testimony. This is unprecedented. What are you saying? I'm sorry, Miss Skye, but given the circumstances... Joe Dark murdered Prosecutor Marshall! How can you think it was Emma? How dare you try to pin this crime on her? Imagine that coming from you. If you recall, it was you who admitted to forging evidence 2 years ago. The reason you moved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out what Emma did, wasn't it? I assure you, Mr. Edgeworth, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe your insane allegations, I'm afraid you're going to have proof. Tell me, do you have any conclusive proof that proves my sister killed Neil Marshall? Evidence? I'm willing to bet you don't. Yes, it certainly would be difficult to prove this with evidence. If we don't have evidence, then we'll have to rely on testimony. I'm afraid that won't work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead. We certainly can't get dead people to testify. It's all been a wild goose chase from the beginning. Why do I have a feeling Damon Gant had a hand in securing that, death sentence? Huh. Touche, Miss Sky. Of course. That only leaves us with one possibility. You mean there's still another possibility? What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? I mean the possibility the victim left us a message. For better or for worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind the name of the person who took his life, in one manner or another. That's impossible! Well, Mr. Wright, this is the only possibility left to you. A message from the deceased! Does such a message exist? I've got to think back to the court record. The real murderer's name the victim may have left behind? Clearly in the evidence, I already told you. This message from the deceased is already in our possession. Mr. Wright! Will you stop at nothing to prove my sister a murderer? Do not be mistaken, Miss Sky. Our purpose is not to accuse them of any crime. There is only one thing we seek. The truth. No matter how painful it may be. Right. Now then, Mr. Wright! To loosely quote Kyoko Kirigiri from Danganronpa, it is a detective's job to find the truth, regardless of whether that truth leads to hope or despair. Please show us the piece of evidence that conveys a message from the deceased.
Take that!
This is the message left by the deceased. This is the blue badger from before, right? Oh, is he going to just speak the killer's name? If that thing could, I'm sure it would. Looks like everyone's forgotten this is just a jar. A message was left here, on the surface of this jar. What do you mean? If you look closely, you can see a faint trail of blood in this jar. It looks like someone wiped the blood away. Yes, but notice, for some reason, the blood on some fragments was not wiped away. Yes, there's a line drawn in the blood. So what you're saying is these dots were once lines? Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used the few precious moments left to him to leave behind a message. One that someone apparently wiped away. But blood must have seeped into the jar where the lines changed directions. Precisely so. All we need to do is connect the points, and the victim's message will become apparent. No! Mr. Wright, what kind of message did the victim leave for us? Your Honor, I believe these bloodstains will reveal the answers. I've got to connect these to make the letters. It's only one thing the victim would have written under these circumstances. His murderer's name. Oh, connect the dots time.
Take that!
It's still a defense attorney's duty to prove their client's innocence. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. After all my efforts, I never thought it would turn out like this. Dun dun dun! Emma. So, this is the final message Prosecutor Marshall left behind. Of all people, she may not have meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life was Emma Sky. See, Worthy, can't say I didn't warn you. Chief Gant, do you understand the implications of what you've done? What? What are you talking about? 2 years ago, Joe Dark was sentenced to death. He was convicted because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in the case, were you not? Ah, yes, Worthy, because of you. An innocent man was sentenced to death. Not only that, but you used the forged evidence to ensure your conviction. Oh, But Joe Dark was really a serial murderer. That's undeniable. Yeah, Phoenix! Stand up to him! Protect Edgeboy! Edgeboy Protection Squad, where you at? In the comments, hashtag Edgeworth Protection Squad. He must be protected at all costs. I'm afraid that's not important. Didn't you know? We aren't defenders of justice. What? We're merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter, even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery. Ultimately, the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge. Despite what anyone may say, the fact cannot be denied. What's going on at the prosecutor's office? They might have sent an innocent man to his death. How can you stand there like it wasn't his fault? Order! Order! Shit, I need to get myself a gavel. The gavel's pounding felt on deaf ears. Unable to settle the crowd, the judge declared a recess. Where this trial is headed, no one knows. To be continued. Fantastic. Beautiful. I'm loving it. Loving every second. Can't wait to see where this goes. So, okay, we've turned the trial around, and now it would seem that A, Emma is being charged with the murder of Neil Marshall, and B, Edgeworth is getting Damon Gant's dick stuck so far up his ass he can feel it in his stomach. Yeah, not pretty, but it's the truth of the matter. Now, what do we do here? Because Edgeworth, man, we gotta save Edgeworth. I think we're gonna do it with the order of events, because otherwise it doesn't make any sense. So yeah, all right. Fuck, next episode is gonna be a wild one. We're gonna finally finish this game. This game that has been my main series on this channel for so long. It's finally gonna be over. It's hard to believe, honestly. I'm gonna have to mentally prepare myself for the next video, because I really don't want to let this game go. It's been so much fun. But that's something I'll have to deal with in the next episode. Thanks so much for watching this episode, Phoenix Wright. If you enjoyed, and I know I did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And, turn on the notification bell so that you get notified when I post the finale to this epic game. Also, by the way, once this game ends, and trust me, we will end this week, it might leave a void. And you might want a murder mystery anime visual novel to fill its spot in your heart. And if that's the case, on Sunday at 3, you should check out our stream of Persona 4 Golden, an anime murder mystery visual novel, and JRPG, which is really fucking good. It's a lot of fun. You can come in, hang out with us in the chat. We actually had a lot of chat interaction during our last stream. It wasn't Persona 4 Golden. We were reading the Harry Potter horrible fanfiction, My Immortal. We're also doing a follow-up stream for that, so keep an eye out for that. It's fucking hilarious. But yeah, we actually had a lot of audience interaction during that stream, and it was fucking fantastic. It was great. So, I'd really appreciate it if you could make it out to the Persona 4 stream. There's an event in the channel. You can set a reminder. It's all streamlined. So, we can make this stream one of our best yet. Also, join our Discord down in the description to chat with us and also get notified whenever new videos go up and new streams are about to start. So yeah, see you on the other side.